when I finished the flowchart last time, if you remember how we created this, we built in test. I went ahead and I created all this all the way through the Dodge Accum. Then we tested it for Dodge. It worked. So I copied everything from Dodge down to Dodge Accum. Came over here and pasted it on the false side of Dodge, and then changed everything that said Dodge to Ford, and then retested it again. When it worked, I recopied all of this, came to the false side of Ford, pasted it in, changed everything that said Ford to GM. Then, well, I didn't get a chance to do that in the last one, but that's what I did when I finished. And the last thing we need to do is put our error checking in there and say that you typed in, say they did small GM, and you should have typed in large GM. And then we put an error flag of 1 so that we would know an error. But the error flag is going to work a little bit differently here because we don't want to stop it from processing. All we're going to do if an error occurs is if an error doesn't occur, we're going to ask them if there's another guess. If an error does occur, that means the guess was bad. And of course, they're going to want to re-put it in. So we're going to automatically put yes into another guess so they get another whack. And then we're going to change the error flag to 0. Forget this. I was using this for testing. That's not there. So it's important. You have to reset the flag to 0 when you're doing loops, because if you don't, it'll always have an error after the first one. So don't ever do that. So let's go ahead and run it twice. For some reason, this thing has been running slow today because I'm trying to make a video. Comes up not responding. Then I got to ask it again. Come on. Give me a question. There it is. All right, so the first time I'll do it correctly. And I'll put in GM. And then what kind of model? I'll put Corvette. And then it goes 1 commit. And then it says you want another one. We'll say yes. This time I'll put in GM small. And then I'll say Corvette. We can't stop that. We have to have that come up, even though we'd like to not have it come up. And then it says you typed in a small GM. You should have typed in large GM. And now it's going to automatically skip the input because it'll go down this way. It's going to reset the flag and just ask me if there's another, what the guess is going to be. So that's how we do that. So next we're going to go ahead and code it. So we're going to come in, no, not there. We're going to go into HTML kit. And you can see I've already started the code because other than that, this thing takes several videos. But let me explain what I've done so far. So the input are the only blank places we need in memory. When we have our counters, they all have to be set with 0. So if we don't set it with 0, when we try to do Dodge count equals Dodge count plus 1, it's going to come up with NaN, not a number, because we can't add 1 to blank. We can only do it to 0. All right, and then the accumulator is the same thing, except instead of 0, we want to join it with an empty text string. All right, so, and actually we don't really need these because of the way we're doing it, having a first time through, not using accumulator. But it's always safe to initialize your accumulators with blank spaces. Actually, you do need to do that so that at the end when we output, if we haven't had any GM guesses, it won't come up again as an NaN error. All right, so once we have initialized both our counters and our accumulators, then we initialize the loop with yes. We do while another one is yes. I have these two inputs in here just to save some time, but normally I'd leave these out and just have how am I going to get in, which is these two things. How am I going to get out? And that's with this input that let them change yes to no. And how do I know I'm out? And that's that alert. So I'm going to go ahead then and save this. We always save it before we preview it. Also, when you make sure, this is really important because this is going to ruin your day. Make sure you always have equal equal, because remember, 1 equal means assign 2, 2 equals mean equal. And then I'll preview it. It's going to ask me 2 questions, and these are the same ones we used in our flowchart. So I'm going to do dodge, and then dart, and then no. Done looping. All right, so we really didn't have anything else to output because we haven't done anything except take stuff in. So now we want to go back to our problem statement and see what we have to do next. So the next thing we need to do is build dodge. We're going to do that the exact same way that we did with the flowchart. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm not going to do everything at one time. I'm just going to see if I can make dodge work. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to HTML kit. And then after these two inputs, I'm going to go ahead and add what's the next part of that. So if car make equals dodge, do the counter. If the counter is 1, then we do this, else we do that. And I can move this over because just because of Notepad. All right, else we're going to do that. So now we just have to JavaScripticize it. One of the first things we want to change is, so we don't want to do an if statement because we don't want to do if car make equals dodge, else if GM, else if Ford. What we want to do is, since it's 3 different decisions, we want to do a switch. So instead of doing if car make equals that, we're going to do switch. And in there, we're going to put car make. So that's going to save me a little bit of time because it's also going to save me a bunch of braces. And then I'm going to put a brace here, and that's going to be start switch. And then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. And right above another guest, after all these decisions, I'm going to have a close brace, and that's going to be stop switch. Switch. Okay. And I'm going to move this up. I'm not sure why this is down here. There you go. All right, so this is that. So we're going to have start switch car make, right? And then I have to do a case. So I'm going to move this down. And the first thing I'm going to do is case dodge. Now, no case equals dodge, just case dodge and a colon. Okay, now the first thing I want to do in that case is increment the counter. And again, that's why we have a 0 in it right now. So 0 plus 1 is 1. We're still going to make this decision here. And that's going to be if, since it's a Boolean. And so if dodge equal, remember, make sure that we're doing that. If it equals 1, I'm going to put braces in for this. Then the first thing we want to do is start with our first record. So I'm going to put a semicolon at the end of this. I don't have to do anything else. That works. And then I have to put in a close brace. And then I'm going to put in else. And then an open brace. And then the next one. That's going to be dodge accum equals dodge accum. So first record, there's nothing in dodge accum anyway except empty text. So we don't need to do a dodge accum. But every other time we have to keep what we've had before it and then add something to the end of it. And of course we're going to put a semicolon at the end of this. And then we just have to end that else. So that's why I have a stop switch down here. Oh, one more thing. In order to end the case, we have to put in break. All right, so this is the dodge case right here. That's everything to process the dodge records. Everything else has been started and stopped. So I can go ahead now and save this and see if I can accumulate some dodge stuff. So I'll go ahead and preview it. And I have an error. So line 20, it's expecting a brace. So let's see what I did wrong. Can I make these things on purpose so that you can see? Okay, Oh, switch. There you go. That's why I didn't understand what I was doing. Couldn't copy and paste that, unfortunately. Oh, now 26. I have another error. See, you're learning an awful lot from what things you can do wrong. So on 26. All right, so you can see it says else is wrong, and of course that can't be wrong, but what's wrong is I put these facing the wrong way. So that's a close brace, that's open and close. And again, you might want to comment those if you want, just to make sure that you're on the right track. All right, well, maybe we'll run this time, but that's why, again, we want to just build Dodge. We don't want to build the whole thing and have 18 errors in it. All right, so Dodge, Dart, and you can see that Dodge count is undefined. So it looks like it's spelled right, except that C probably should be a capital C on line 22. So let's see what we've done. Yep. So Dodge count on line 22. See? Dodge count, capital C. Let's see where that error is in our problem statement. And if Dodge count, see, there it is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that here. And then to save myself some problems later on, well, Ford count, if, yeah, see, so each one of these has the same error because I copy and pasted. And if Ford count. So what we do, even though we're not going to be using the problem statement for these other ones, I'm going to copy and paste for my code. I still want to go back and change it and make sure everything matches. Oops, sorry. And let's go back to code then. All right, so that's an error. And again, I copy and pasted it from my problem statement. I just made a mistake there. Okay, so we found, what, 3 mistakes now. I preview it. I got Dodge, Dart, yes. Okay, so we have a problem. Dodge, Dart, no. What problem did you see? That's the problem. We have no output. So at the end of, before I break, I should have an alert and then output Dodge Accum. So I can see if something's being built or not. Hi, caramba. Okay, so see, I'm rushing on this, and that's why I'm making all these errors. Because we're already up to 12 minutes. What the heck? All right, so I'm going to finish this one, and then we'll finish everything else up. Let's see. So Dodge, Dart. There, that's working. Yes, Dodge. We'll do Dart again. And they have, so you can see it's building nicely. Everything's working perfect. So we're going to end this now and finish this up in the next video.